So what's the big news story of the day today? It's got to be the introduction of the Kindle Fire. The Kindle Fire. I have an iPad myself, the iPad 2, and a lot of viewers out there are buying iPads. Recently, a friend of mine, he's the CEO of a pretty substantial software company, was at an airport. He counted 54 people. I don't know why he did this, but he counted 54 people in the waiting area for the flight. 13 of them were using iPads. And it really made him wonder how much more market penetration does the iPad got to go. But here we've got the Android killer, the Kindle Fire. Because I say Android killer for this very reason. It's not so much a competitor to the iPad. This is the point. It's not a big-time competitor to the iPad. It's not going to be. I see it rather a big competitor to the Android tablets. Now, why is that? Well, let's go back in a little bit of time. We remember the big fire sale that HP had for the touchpads. Remember, $99? People were going crazy trying to snap these things up. Well, that showed that the public has a big-time interest in low-price machines. And it appears that somewhere between $100 to $150 is the magic number for a lot of people to pull the trigger on some type of tablet device. Amazon's got a theory, and this is older than dirt in sales. Maybe you've heard this before, maybe you haven't. And that is give away the razor and make your money off of razor blades. In other words, Amazon is going to lose, this is an estimate, initial estimate, they're going to lose around $50 for every Kindle Fire they sell. They're going to go in the hole, $50 every one that goes out the door. The theory being that they'll make all their money when you rent movies, buy books, purchase Amazon apps for the Kindle Fire. That's where they're going to make their money. So in that sense, it's going to be a very, very smart move in Amazon's case. The price is certainly attractive. You see, here's the problem. Companies like Samsung and others, the Galaxy Tab, HP, so forth, all these companies that's making tablets, Android tablets, what are they trying to accomplish? They don't have a content ecosystem. So they're trying to make their money off the hardware. They're trying to make their money off the hardware, margins on the hardware. And with something like this is a game changer. The market for the iPad's a little bit differently. You're not going to get into an iPad unless you pay a minimum entry fee of $500, and they've already got a market. They've got an ecosystem. They've got a great app store in place. They're way, way ahead of the curve. So it's not really going to be, let me tell you, the folks, very few, I think with very little exception, most people that want to buy an iPad is going to ultimately end up with an iPad. But those who say, $500 or more is too expensive for this device, the Amazon Kindle Fire looks like a surefire winner. Okay. So after looking at this device, the same information everybody else can. Here's what I like about the Kindle Fire. Who cannot like the price of $199? Remember, we heard initially we were looking at, $250. So it did come in $50 cheaper than what we thought. Looking at the demo of the device, I like the easy use. I think for a lot of people, their first introduction to tablets is going to be pretty cool. How about Silk? Did you take a look at the Silk web browser? That is very, very slick. We could do a whole story just on Silk. I'll bottom line you what Silk is. Silk is a web browser reimagined. Rather than using the same paradigm that developers for web browsers have used for the last 15 years plus, where you can think of it as like an empty store, your web browser, and it's going out to stock the shelves everywhere all over the internet. Silk will utilize the cloud, the Amazon cloud, to go out and pre-fetch, pre-cache all this stuff, and so therefore that really speeds up the browsing experience. Uncle Al in the chat room says free cloud storage is good. It better be, because they're only giving you 8 gigs of memory on this thing. We're going to get into what I don't like about it. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay. I think silk is brilliant. By the way, apparently Amazon's thinking more about silk than just using it on the Fire. By the way, they've registered I think Mac Silk, Windows Silk, etc. We may see a Silk browser released to go out and compete against Chrome and others. We'll see about that. It's got a gorgeous color display. But what's the bottom line for a content consumption device? I mean, what is the bottom line for this thing? It's content, 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 and Amazon has got a absolute killer content ecosystem right now. They really do. They've got a very, very killer ecosystem, which is great. By the way, when you order a Amazon Kindle Fire, it's automatically pre-configured and linked to your Amazon account. Better hope that it gets to the right person, folks, when they ship the thing. So if you've got any movies, books, etc. with Amazon, those will immediately show up. And it does appear to be a pretty fast device, being that it does have a dual-core processor. Now, I wasn't able to locate the exact hardware specs on it. But now let me talk to you about what I don't like about the $199 Fire. Number one, there's not even an option for 3G capability on this unit. There's no option for it. Now, the 7-inch display. We were talking a little bit pre-show, me and FrugalTech, and I said, I wonder why so many third-party companies looking to make tablets are so enamored with the 7-inch display. My opinion, it's got to do something with the price of the displays. Remember, these guys are typically trying to make their money on hardware margins, so to go to a larger display must dramatically increase the price. That's my best educated guess. Who knows? Answer a question in the chat room. Is that an Audio-Technica AT2020? It is. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, it is. Side address mic. Somebody the other day said I was holding my microphone, or my microphone was in the wrong position. I explained it's the side address microphone. Okay. Here's another thing I don't like. Only 8 gigabytes of memory. Why? Because they expect you to store everything in the cloud rather than locally. Kind of like the philosophy of a Chromebook. Here's another thing I don't like. There's not a larger version available. I can't get a 10-inch Kindle Fire if I wanted one. But I'm going to use this word, yet. I did see a rumored site that suggested that a larger version of the Kindle Fire will become available maybe second quarter next year. So we will see about that. There's no Netflix app yet. Makes sense. They want you to use Amazon for your movies and television shows and not Netflix. Number 6, there's no access to the Android market. That's a biggie. This is pretty much an Amazon walled garden. Remember how people didn't like iPad and iPhone and iOS? Because of the walled garden? Amazon's doing the same exact thing. Finally, there's no HDMI. There's no onboard camera. There's not even a micro SD slot on this thing. These are all, in my opinion, negatives, some of which may be addressed in the future. I suspect that an HDMI port will probably come out, and maybe even a camera. We'll have to see what kind of enhancements are made to this over time. But out the gate, these are some things that really bother me. To me, a 7-inch display is going to be a little too small for me to sit and enjoy a movie of any length at all. For some reading, for maybe watching a TV show, not bad for extended use. I like a larger display, and I think the iPad has got it right. In conclusion, I think there'll basically be 2 types of tablets that will exceed in today's marketplace. A low-end device in the $99 to $199 range, and the high-end market, which will be your iPad for the foreseeable future. So as far as other Android makers go, well, they either need to get into the content business or they need to get out of the tablet market, because they're not going to be able to sell Android tablets at the same price of iPads and sell any of them. And you know that for a fact. You just see how poorly these tablets have fared in the marketplace. That's my take on the Kindle Fire. I'd like to hear your comments and your opinions about the Kindle Fire.